On a perfect sunny day, just as your cornfield is almost ready for harvest, out of nowhere a herd of wild boars shows up, tearing everything apart and threatening to wipe out 6 months of hard work in a single night. What can you do to stop them? Is there a humane way to handle this situation? Don't miss a second. The answer is coming right up. Can you believe there's a creature out there that can wipe out an entire village's crops in just one night? It's not a natural disaster, not a storm. It's wild boars. Fierce and relentless, they're showing up in greater numbers, leaving nothing but devastated fields behind. And in today's video, you'll join us on a life or death battle, where people are forced to stand up to protect their land, their families, and their very survival. Don't look away, because the next few minutes will have you on the edge of your seat. The once straight rows of crops are now nothing but deep hoof prints. The ground looks like it's been torn apart by a storm. But this wasn't a storm. It's the aftermath of a wild boar invasion. The entire village held an emergency meeting and decided to form a volunteer hunting team. They could no longer stand by and do nothing. At first light, we gathered at the foot of the hill. The air was damp and cold, with dew still clinging to the grass. Guns were loaded, the hounds released. We knew today wouldn't be easy. Along the trail, the hounds suddenly erupted into frantic barking. In an instant, a full-grown boar burst out of the brush. Without hesitation, one of the hunters took aim and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed, the beast staggered, then collapsed after a few steps. The battle had officially begun. We pushed deeper in. In the dry, red soil, another herd panicked and bolted. Within seconds, gunfire rang out again, and another boar went down. The sun grew harsh, sweat running down our foreheads. But there was no room for distraction. Noises from the opposite hillside signaled a larger herd feeding beneath the trees. Immediately, the team spread out, taking their positions and opening fire all at once. One boar tumbled down the slope, another small victory marked. In another development, on the other side of the hill, our teammates had to track and shoot the wild boars up in the mountains, and taking aim became harder than ever. By noon, we were exhausted, but the wild boars hadn't stopped. When one suddenly charged from the left, nearly goring a teammate, the whole group froze. Luckily, a quick reflex shot stopped the attack in its tracks. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, then quickly regrouped. As dusk fell, the last light of day streamed through the treetops. Suddenly, a large dark silhouette appeared at the edge of the forest. It was a rare chance, one we couldn't waste. A single decisive shot brought the beast down. The group headed back relieved, exhausted, but proud. At least for today, we had stopped the attack. But this is only the beginning. In Texas, Alabama, and Georgia, millions of acres of land are still ravaged by wild boars every year. Electric fences are useless. Warning shots no longer work. There's only one option left: wipe them out. As night fell, we teamed up with local farmers. At first, just a few strays, easy to take down, but soon entire herds began to appear. They were wary, their sharp sense of smell helping them escape quickly. But then, a well-placed shot took down the slowest one, throwing the whole herd into chaos. In the darkness, each gunshot echoed, and one by one, the targets fell. Out in the muddy field, a few were still busy rooting, completely unaware. We locked onto the biggest one and squeezed the trigger. The shot shattered the silence. The herd bolted, but the main target dropped on the spot. Taking advantage of the chaos, we quickly closed in and brought down several more. One by one, the wild boars fell, signaling that the battle was nearing its end. We had claimed a complete victory. We kept moving toward a flatter area, out on the grasslands, where midnight is when they're the least alert. All my teammates were in position, locked onto their targets, and one by one brought home the trophies. I spotted a herd of hogs in the distance, gripped my rifle tight, and unleashed a relentless volley of shots into them. Sometimes I truly feel guilty, but there's no other choice but to take them down. If we let them go, our entire crop would be destroyed in just one night. In this battle, we can't afford to show mercy. It's a brutal fight for survival, and taking them down is absolutely necessary. Keeping a firm grip on our rifles, we took down every wild boar that came into our sights. One by one, the wild boars fell, signaling that the battle was nearing its end. We had claimed a complete victory. Just when we thought it was over, we ran into a massive herd. These were the brutes, coarse-haired, heavy, and fearless. This time, absolute calm was needed. The first shot rang out, dropping the biggest beast. Then the whole team opened fire, turning the field into a battlefield. But the more we hunted, the more we realized chasing them on the ground wasn't enough. They were too fast, too clever. A new solution was born: hunting wild boars from helicopters. Aboard the Robinson R-44 Raider, armed with Winchester rifles, we took off. From above, everything was clear. The ground torn apart, crops flattened. Almost immediately, the first targets came into view. One shot, one kill. The roar of the engine sent the herd running, but there was no escaping our sights. Each bullet rained down from above like a death sentence. After hours of hunting, around 50 were taken down. A small number compared to the millions out there, but it was a glimmer of hope. This story isn't just happening in the US. In Turkey, the rugged terrain makes the hunt even more brutal. Adam and Max, two seasoned hunters, proved their skill. Adam was decisive, working closely with the hounds. Max was calm and precise, dropping targets in an instant. Every shot they fired wasn't just a display of skill. It was an act of protecting the community from a growing threat. And that's just a small part of the long journey ahead. What about you? If you were in this situation, would you run or stand and fight? We may have won today's battle, but in Europe, an even fiercer war awaits. From the fields of Brandenburg to the forests of Lower Saxony, the boars come in greater numbers, smarter, deadlier, and ready to strike. Think you've seen it all? Get ready. Part 2 will be even more breathtaking. Germany's fields are under siege from the relentless destruction of wild boars, but is hunting them truly necessary to protect farmers, or just needless cruelty toward wildlife? Picture yourself standing in the middle of a field, the growls of wild boars echoing around you, and knowing that a single mistake could spell disaster. What do you think about this issue? Drop a comment below to share your thoughts, and stick around until the end to see if the hunters have what it takes to bring down these fierce invaders. They tear up the land, destroy crops, and leave behind millions of dollars in damage. Now hunters are gearing up for the battle against these relentless invaders. Every cold, precise shot in those heart-stopping moments feels like being right in the middle of a battlefield. Do the hunters have the grit to take down these invaders? Stay tuned until the end to witness the most dramatic showdown. Today's journey kicks off with a tightly coordinated ambush, leaving no wild boar a chance to escape. Out on the fields of Brandenburg, Michael's team arrived early, spreading out to form a tight perimeter. Before long, at the edge of the vegetable plot, a wild boar suddenly burst out, cutting straight across Alex's position. Without a moment's hesitation, Alex pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, dropping the target decisively before it had any chance to flee. A swift, precise move, pure marksmanship from the team's top shooter, striking fear into the herd. As the sun climbed higher, Michael's team swiftly moved to the next field, quickly slipping into ambush positions. Ten minutes later, on the eastern side, Ryan spotted a herd of wild boars tearing into the field. He locked onto the biggest one and squeezed the trigger. The target dropped on the spot. But before Ryan could reload, the rest darted into the thickets, vanishing in the blink of an eye. At that very moment, near Michael's position, a wild boar suddenly charged out, desperately thrashing for an escape route. With a single precise shot, the massive beast went down. Another target eliminated. The field fell quiet, at least for today. Meanwhile, in Lower Saxony, another hunting team quietly followed the trail into the forest. Chris took position in the middle of the path, where he could keep an eye on every direction. Suddenly, a wild boar appeared, sneaking across the trail. Seizing the moment, Chris pulled the trigger. One precise shot took down the threat. Had he hesitated for even a second, it could have made its way into the fields and torn them apart. One after another, herds of wild boars crossed through, heading straight for the farmer's crops. Without hesitation, his team took them down swiftly, hauling back a truck loaded with wild boar carcasses as their spoils. Moments later, the hounds erupted in frantic barks, a sure sign the prey had been exposed. Chris and his teammates rushed forward, eyes locked on the thicket ahead. Suddenly, a dark figure burst out. The gunshot cracked through the air. The wild boar collapsed instantly, not taking another step. Another disaster stopped just before it could wreak havoc. From Europe's ravaged fields, the wild boar problem has spread all the way to California, where their exploding population is spiraling out of control, posing a direct threat to human lives and expanding their path of destruction at a staggering pace. This is the moment for hunters to take decisive action to restore balance to life here. But wild boars aren't easy prey. They can sprint up to 40 miles per hour, tough, intelligent, and extremely wary. Corner one and it won't just run, it might turn and charge. For hunters, even a moment's hesitation could mean paying the price in blood. While tracking signs, suddenly a whole herd burst out of the brush, sprinting right across my path. I quickly raised my rifle, aimed fast, and pulled the trigger. One went down instantly, while the others vanished into the distance. Shifting to a new spot, I caught the sound of rustling nearby. I raised my rifle, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, a dark figure burst out, charging close. My first shot missed, and in a flash, the boar spun around and came straight at me, forcing me to dive aside to avoid the attack. The second shot hit its mark. The boar collapsed just a few meters away. If I hadn't kept my cool, the price could have been steep. Have you ever imagined yourself in a situation like this? Share your experience. On the other side, Ethan was lying in wait at the exit. As a boar charged forward and tried to turn away, he opened fire instantly, giving it no chance to escape. As night fell, I followed the sound of the hounds barking. Suddenly, a boar charged straight at me. I stepped back and pulled the trigger. The beast collapsed right at my feet. A second slower, and I might not have made it out alive. Harvest season is drawing near, and locals are on edge. Every year around this time, wild boars sweep in and devastate the crops in just a few nights. That's why we have to organize the hunt. Some bring hunting dogs, others ready their weapons. Everyone knows that without action, all they can do is watch their harvest be destroyed. The hounds quickly picked up the prey. Tyler held his position on the slope, right where the herd had been spotted. As the dogs barked furiously, a gunshot rang out. The boar thrashed in pain but soon collapsed on the hillside. Spreading out further, I came face to face with a boar just 3 meters away. Before it could react, the shot landed and it went down. Another time, deep in the forest, the dogs gave the signal. I took steady aim and dropped the boar right where it was hiding. But suddenly, another one charged from behind, forcing me to swing my rifle around and fire a second shot. Thanks to the persistence of the hounds, we kept flushing out and taking down more boars. Each successful shot brought a sense of relief. Everyone eliminated meant one less threat to the harvest ahead. Pushing deeper in, I came upon a dark boar charging straight at me. I quickly raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. It went down, ending a breathless showdown.
Headshot. The other one. Very nice.
The hunt came to an end, everyone exhausted, but at least the coming harvest would carry one less worry. And if the battle with guns is already this intense, have you ever heard of hunting wild boars with a bow? A classic but demanding approach that calls for patience and top-level skill? These beasts tear up farmland, ravage the soil, and cause massive damage. Today we step into a fierce battle armed with nothing but bows and arrows. Would you dare challenge yourself with this kind of hunt? Drop a comment below if you would. We set up a feeder by the swamp to lure the boars. Just as expected, they showed up, completely absorbed in feeding. I drew the bowstring tight and released. The steel-tipped arrow shot forward, piercing straight into the target. It let out a scream and bolted in panic, but the fatal wound brought it down quickly. Another herd moved in. I patiently took aim and released. The boar dropped, a clean and precise shot. In another spot, Logan waited patiently from a raised stand in the forest, watching the herd. When the moment came, his arrow flew, striking true. The beast staggered, then collapsed. The next day, we tracked the signs and came across a massive boar, nearly 80 kilos. My friend drew his bow, waiting for the perfect moment. At last, the arrow struck true, bringing the beast down. Deep in the forest, I lay in ambush. As the herd fed at the watering hole, I drew my bow and released. One went down, while the rest scattered in panic. By midday, under the sweltering heat, we paused to rest when suddenly a massive boar appeared, drawn in by the bait. I pulled back the bow and released. The arrow drove straight into its huge body. It staggered, then collapsed, motionless. By late afternoon, another target appeared. My first shot missed, but the boar suddenly turned and charged, forcing me to dodge and release a second arrow, this time striking a vital spot. The beast went down, bringing the hunt to an end. With sharp arrows, patience, and strategy, we claimed victory. The forest fell silent once more, no longer echoing with the sound of gunfire. If you found this video exciting, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to catch the next episode of this challenging journey.